Hello and welcome to The Wargamer and another look at White Dwarf. This time we're focusing on October 2016, but before we move on to the actual issue, we first of all have this month's freebie, which is Will of Iron, and this is the introduction to the new comic book series that we'll be seeing more of in the future. This is just a preview, so we get a nice glimpse at some of the artwork we can expect, how the miniatures have been reproduced in comic book form, which as a big fan of comic books, I am excited to see more of. Again, the book is just fairly straightforward, fairly simple, just a quick glimpse as to what you can expect. Some nice, not photography, some nice artwork of the miniatures there. You can also see how the covers were formed and also how you can pick these up from your local comic book stores and such. So this brings us to the actual main White Dwarf itself, and as you can probably tell from the front, it's going to be focusing mainly on the Gene Stealer cults. So if I just open up the first page here, as with all these White Dwarf, the first section focuses on some of the new releases that are either upcoming or have already been released. This time it's obviously Gene Stealer cults at first. Some of these you've already seen, but these, particularly the Goliath and these Brood Covens, are actually going to be releasing after this video initially goes out, so you might be seeing some of these for the first time. So the Goliath is essentially the Gene Stealer cult's primary form of transport. It's a repurposed industrial vehicle and also a mining vehicle, as you can see by these rock grinder discs at the front there. Very nice miniature indeed, very kind of fits in with the underground aspect of the cultists. This brings us to the Acolyte hybrids and the Neophyte hybrids. We've already seen these on previews, and something actually quite interesting is not only the cult icon ward that we've got here, which is also a new miniature, we've also got these combo kits, and we've got combo between Astra Militarum crit kits and also the Gene Stealers, and what you do is you essentially get a upgrade sprue, much like you do with the Space Marine kits such as the Blood Angels and things like that. So we've got a standard squad with also a heavy weapons team. We've also got the Chimera here with a squad, and finally we've got the LEMAN RUSS at the bottom here. We'll look at the actual upgrade sprue more later on. So obviously we get the cults here. We've got the Codex form, we've got the Citadel Paint Guide, and also the Stormcast Errant Quest, and this is actually a miniature that's only available at Warhammer World, so I'm not sure why this has been included, but sorry for anyone who's outside the UK, but you're going to struggle to pick one of these up yourself. Quite interestingly, we actually get a preview of Dane Ironfoot, which is going to be the start of the revisiting of Lord of the Rings by Games Workshop, or more specifically Forge World. This will be a Forge World release, but it's nice to see Lord of the Rings making a presence in White Dwarf again. We also have some new texture paints that are coming out, pretty much the same as the existing ones, but there's going to be thin and thick variants, and also I think they've changed up the material that they use to get the grit, so I think it's plastic micro beads now, so it might be better, it's hard to tell this early on. Of course we have the Warhammer 40k comics there, we've also got the dice at the bottom, some Black Library releases, and also the Blood Angel releases that came out earlier on in the month as well. And of course you can see all of them revisited here. This brings us to the actual magazine proper. So first of all we have the readers' letters. It's nice to always read these, see what feedback people are giving to White Dwarf, but if you're present in the communities anyway, you're probably already hearing about what a lot of people are thinking. We get a further insight into the Will of Iron as well, the comic book that we've got included here, some design notes and also some more artwork and how the actual panels were crafted. And this brings us to another Lord of the Rings focus as well. I'm kind of thinking that with us seeing a lot of these Lord of the Rings things in White Dwarf, it's kind of setting the groundwork for its return. I don't think it will be returning in the same sense as it did before, but it'd be nice to see some more Hobbit items in the future. So we've got some nice close-ups of a very excellent miniature, albeit very expensive one. And this brings us to Army of the Month, and this is one of the White Dwarf team's Space Wolf armies, very nice army, pretty huge as well. You can see there just exactly how big this thing is. Lots of nice artwork, nice painting, obviously some in-depth discussion from the person who crafted this all. Really nice to see people's perspectives as well. You probably recognise a few of these miniatures as well. I think they've been dotted around online in the past. Now this actually goes on for quite a few pages. I think there's nearly 10 pages altogether, so there's quite a lot of them. Personally, this issue itself has quite a lot of these user-submitted items, which I'll talk more about later on in the issue. This is actually a really good part of the magazine. It's an interview with Jez Goodwin, who is one of the Games Workshop design studios. Gives some really in-depth look at the history of some of the miniatures that we all know and love, such as the Haldaran Space Marines, and also some of the more recent additions, such as the Imperial Knights and things like that. So a nice in-depth interview that gives you a really good view into the background of how miniatures are designed. This brings us to one of my favourite sections of these, the Temporal Distort, where we look at a previous issue of White Dwarf. In this case, it's February 2002. Again, we've got some more Lord of the Rings poking its head up just there. We've also got some really old high elves there, you can see. Nice little look at the past White Dwarf, and it's great for people who have collected those old issues to be reminded of what they were like. Now this is another user submitted section. It's lots of the armies on parade for 2016. Some really excellent work here by some fans of Warhammer. We've got this excellent tower here, just making the centerpiece for this table. If you're not quite sure what armies on parade is, essentially you build a small section of board and then you present your army. And usually the board is themed around the army that you're actually deploying there. It's kind of a nice way of showing them off. We've got some a Imperial Guard kind of mixture of Imperial Guard and Admech on this one here as well. An advert for the Start Collecting magazines. And this is where we actually start coming into the Gene Stealer Cultists content. It's quite a lot in this magazine. It's pretty much nearly about a third of the way through before we actually start looking at it properly. Lots of looks at the new miniatures, about all the equipment, some background as well. Great if you're a big fan of the Gene Stealer cult. Again, we come to some more, so we've got focus on the weapons there. Lots of in-depth looks at the Goliath as well. And this actually brings us to a mission that we've got in here. It's an exclusive mission, as you can see there, White Dwarf exclusive. And this comes with a full fold-out section. You can see here the battle report that we actually get in here, which is Death Watch facing off against Gene Stealers, which is kind of an expansion to the Overkill board game that we saw in the past as well, which featured Gene Stealer cults versus the Overwatch. Really nicely documented as well. I do like the new approach to these battle reports. The photography is amazing. You can see exactly what's going on. The description is really nice as well. It really helps to describe the flow of the game and what can be quite complex as well in some of these larger sets. So we've got these overarching views which have arrows to show which squads move from where. We also have these nice close-ups and dramatic shots that you can see dotted through, and this actually goes on for several pages. You see here we've already flicked through and we're actually only on turns 3 and 4, and quite a long amount. So if you're a big fan of 40k, then it's definitely a battle report you'll look forward to reading. And this is actually the first glimpse at Age of Sigmar we've seen in this issue so far, and you're probably going to guess the theme. It's going to be mainly 40k this time around, with Age of Sigmar taking a back step in this particular issue. We do get some nice views at some of the artwork that's been featured in some of the current battle tomes, things like that. We've got the Maw Crusher there as well, one of my favourite miniatures, and we also have some of the Golden Demon winners as well. You've probably already seen this miniature as well if you've been online a lot. It's very, I wouldn't say famous, but famous among our community there. Some really nice inspirations for painting as well. You can just see how people have managed to achieve the miniatures, and it gives you inspiration as to how you want to. But again, it's more user-submitted content, and a lot of it is what you've already seen online. This is probably one of the sections of the actual magazine that I've been looking forward to reading each time. It's A Tale of Four Warlords, and if you remember from my last look, it was essentially Oryx, Undead, Sylvaneth, and also, if I remember rightly, it was also Nurgle as well. Essentially, 4 players are building up their forces over the months, and they're adding new units to them. And you also show you how to paint certain sections. You can see from this chart here. Now, one of the things I really do like about these is the blue Rotbringers that you can see there. It even shows you how to kind of achieve this nice putrid blue skin that we've got on the Plague Bearers as well. Really nice, interesting scheme. Something you don't really see a lot for Nurgle. It's mainly greens and browns. So blues, it kind of works as well. It's like that bruised flesh look. We've also got some undead here. Again, some nice insights into how to paint gore flesh, and of course the Oryx as well. And here we come to a very comprehensive section of sprues and glue, and also some painting as well. It's nice to see hobby taking up such a large proportion of the magazine. I'm a big advocate for the hobby section, so it's nice to see this getting some nice focus. Now this is the Gene Stealer Cult upgrade sprue that you actually get included with those Astra Militarum sets. You can see here we've got 10 heads, we've got 5 pouches and knives, we've got some icons to put on your vehicles. Actually we've got 12 heads altogether, sorry, we've got a few more I missed there. So some really nice kits that you can mix and match with your current Astra Militarum kits and really make some interesting conversions. So you can see here we've got heavy weapons team, and we've also got the command team as well. It's got a few more conversions made from there. Now this Goliath truck is an excellent example of just how awesome this kit is. You can see here it's loaded out with Gene Stealer Cult hybrids. Really emphasizes the fact that this is a vehicle that's sent into battle, loaded down with the cultists, and really is very ramshackle. It's almost orcish in its appearance, and I'm sure that we will see lots of orc conversions and battle wagons and things like that. So that's the modelling section covered. This brings us to the painting. We get a brief rundown of the different techniques, basing, shading, highlighting, things like that, and also a focus on how to paint both the Blood Angels that we've seen earlier on in the month, and also some of the new Genestealer cultists as well. So quite comprehensive as well. So you've got how to paint the textiles, how to paint different types of black. So we've got gloss black armor, matte black guns, and also black textiles. We've got the different reds of the armor as well. Very comprehensive guide, very in depth as well. Considering it is just one page, it's really excellent for anyone who's struggling on how to paint their Blood Angels. Again, we've got some more step-by-step guides on how to paint your Genestealer cults in the Cult of the Rusted Claw, which has got this nice, almost kind of penal legion effect going, as if they are escaped convicts or working on a convict wall, something like that. And the painting continues with a heavy metal masterclass on about painting skin. And from my tutorials, a lot of people have questioned how to get skin right. It is quite difficult, so it's nice to see more of an in-depth look at how to paint skin. It's very basic in terms of this kind of guide here. It's pretty much just a base coat and then a wash. Very simplified in that sense, but then it also moves on to doing things like highlighting, how to do glazes, how to do stubble, and all eyes and teeth as well. Really in-depth. So you can either just follow it up to the point that you're comfortable with, like this, or you can follow it all the way through and get some really in-depth looking miniatures. It's great to see Games Workshop actually focusing on some more in-depth techniques rather than just the basic techniques. Of course, we've got some Blanchitsu here with some examples of Blanch-like miniatures that we can see here. Some excellent conversions. I'm always amazed by the creativity that goes into these conversions. For example, here you've got this service which is essentially just a computer screen with some arms and things like that, so it's got a flamer attached. Again, we've got the Plague Lord being used as a inquisitorial henchman. I've seen that used quite a lot, and it always makes it's always nice to see. The next section that we have is another user submitted one, but before I go on, I just want to say that these miniatures really do look excellent. The use of blue is exquisite. It's very nice, kind of mixture of dark blues and turquoise as well, and it really stands out nicely against the traditional, mainly gold Stormcast that we often see. But again, it is another user submitted section of miniatures, and to be honest, I've counted up the pages in this magazine which actually use submissions or Golden Demon winners, things like that. It takes up about 35 out of the 150 pages in here. And personally, I can see a lot of that stuff online when people share their work online, and I kind of feel resentful for paying to see these kind of things in a magazine when I'd much rather see things like battle reports and interviews with people I wouldn't normally be able to access online anyway. So I'm a little bit disappointed about that. And again, readers' models, it's nice to see these sections in these magazines. They take up a few pages at most, and some people do some really creative works. But again, when you're making a big proportion of your actual magazine to do with that, and also the adverts and things like that, it can become a little bit distressing when you're paying for the magazine. It's not a freebie. So that pretty much wraps up this issue of White Dwarf for October 2016. Overall, a really nice issue, but it is going to be focused mainly on Warhammer 40k. If you're not a Warhammer 40k fan, then you can probably skip this issue. There's very little in the way of Age of Sigmar, beyond the user-submitted stuff such as Armies on Parade, Golden Demon, and that small, tiny little section of Age of Sigmar artwork that we focused on. So yeah, if you're a fan of Genestealer cults, pick it up. If you're a fan of Blood Angels, then you could probably get some use out of it as well. Or if you're a fan of Genestealers and Tyranids, then this is probably really going to be a magazine that you're going to want to get your hands on. So if you enjoyed this review or look at White Dwarf, however you want to see it, then please do let me know in the comments below, and I'll also do my best to keep these up and take a look at each of the new White Dwarfs as they come out on a monthly basis. So until next time, thanks for watching, and goodbye.